Hey, this is Andy from Business Without Bullshit, and I'm going to be chatting to Adam Biddle, CEO of Ghost. What is Ghost?
So Ghost is a social media agency that predominantly works in 3 different industries: corporate brands, sport, and leaders. We've been doing this for a long, long time, believe it or not, started in 2008.
Adam is basically a social media expert, but as is quite clear in this podcast, it's quite clear that nobody can be a social media expert. So check it out. Hello and welcome to Business Without Bullshit. I'm Andy Uri, and alongside me is the fabulous Pippa Sturt.
Hi, Andy.
Hello, Pippa. And today we are joined by Adam Biddle, co-founder and CEO of Ghost, a social media agency which has no marketing and no social media. Ghost works with global brands, entertainment properties, high net worth individuals, and celebrities, and makes over 750 pieces of content a month, reaching over 50 million people. Very impressive. Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So hang on, you have no social presence?
No, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. So I use LinkedIn like personally, but
But Ghost doesn't.
But as a business, no.
And that's fundamental, is it, to how you set up?
So it's fundamental to how we set up from the start, but maybe not necessarily important to where we are now as a business. So when we started, we were a social media agency for celebrities. So
you were cipher basically through which you were.
It would be very hard for us to have a website that would basically say, hello, we are the social media agency behind Robbie Williams, Lily Allen, Black Sabbath, Seth Troxler, Fatboy Slim, etc., etc.
I recognise most of those names, which I'm really proud of.
That's good. Yeah. But when we started in 2008, 2009, and social media was a very new thing, it didn't feel right to go out there and sort of have a presence, which was very much like, look at us, we do all of this.
Because you'll look at them, they do stuff.
Well, really, it's about people thinking that they do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like when you make a music, when you make an album as a music artist, you don't put the engineer on the front cover.
No.
Right? No one really knows who the engineer is.
It'd be quite cool to start doing that, wouldn't
Really?
it? Some fat bloke,
Dave.
It's, they're in the backgrounds, they're in the shadows. Right?
And so is Ghost. I feel like you have to say it, Ghost. Like a ghost.
So that's where the sort of the very minimal approach to marketing, and I guess.
So given the minimal approach, how do you get clients?
So this journey started in 2008, 2009. So I would probably say that I'm one of the very few people in the world that has worked in social media for this length of time.
Really? Wow.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Because if you actually think about how long has Facebook been around and how long has people been using social media seriously, it wasn't in 2009 they were using it seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying
2014, 2015 where it started, budget started to really creep in.
I was trying to work out where that line is between everyone got so ripped and everyone's got to look good and and health. And I was like, it must be a sort of Instagram, the point at which everyone started looking at pictures of themselves online, So 2000, when did they launch? Instagram was 2006 or something, or YouTube? Anyways.
No. Yeah, 2006 would have been YouTube or before then.
Who knows? Where are you now then? Let's just talk about now. What keeping Adam up at night now?
What's keeping me up at night right now is the fact that I've got 9-week-old twins.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
Twins are the best. Are they boys or girls?
Boy and a girl.
Okay, nice. I mean, you did all right
Pippa's
with one
a
of
twin.
them.
Oh, are you? Okay.
I'm a twin.
Yeah,
but I'm an identical twin.
So that question is sort of redundant in terms of like.
You look good.
So in terms of to answer that question, literally, it would be the fact that they are twins. To look at it from a business point of view, the business has changed drastically from its origins, from being really an agency that looks after celebrities to now really having 3 clear industries that we work with. So we have a brand vertical, a sports vertical, which I know you're both experts in sport.
We are, yeah.
And then a leaders vertical. So leaders is basically managing C-suite. So professional branding, social media help, LinkedIn management for global CEOs. Yeah. Sport is predominantly based around events. So most of our sports clients are events to some degree. And then brand is very much commercial, corporate, big brands. So we have grown up massively.
What made you veer away from those kind of individual celebs to?
Yeah, two reasons. The first is when we started in social media, no one had any idea how to do it. Zero idea, including ourselves, because we really were there at the before it really was even a thing. You know, like I've set up countless actual accounts for celebrities, which is quite a weird thing to know, that I look back and I go like, oh, I actually was the person that made that account that's now got 20 million followers. I was the one that actually...
Do you get text two-factor authentication texts?
Years ago, oh my God. So why the change? The change, like I said, is twofold. The first is technology has changed how celebrities manage their own presence. So when we started, no one had any idea how to make content. I know it sounds ridiculous when you think about how rich the world is now of content. But in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, no one had the first idea what to do. Like, it just wasn't natural to anybody. So we had such a great model because we would walk in a room, sit with a celebrity and just go, cool, well, here's your next month of posts. They would post it and they would go from getting whatever, 1,000 likes on a post to 10,000, 20,000 overnight like that. Because it was just that easy to do back then. Because it was literally like taking something that no one knew a thing about and simply just basically putting a photo on it. People weren't posting photos.
Were they not?
No, I know we laugh now.
When is it? Like 2010 was basically just Stephen Fry posting on Twitter.
And it was
That
just
was like
text.
basically it.
Yeah, it's true.
And on Facebook, there'd be Facebook pages for music artists, and they would just post informational text like, I am playing at Fabric tonight. That's it. There's nothing to it.
1,000 likes. Love it. So excited.
People would be like, great. And then we just flipped that. And so when we first started, the land grab was very easy, and what we were doing felt like very much at the cutting edge. When I look back at it now, it seems ridiculous, but when you're in the thick of it and when you're actually building these things, you sort of go, wow, we're pioneering a space right now. And then technology comes in. And what we realized that really what people wanted to see was more of the artist themselves. They wanted to see the person's fridge. They wanted to be like, show me how you make your blueberry pancakes in the morning. Well, we as an agency based in Shoreditch couldn't do that unless we're going to go to your house
Unless
every
you're
single
going
morning.
to mock up the house, fake the pancakes.
But the cost of doing that,
Yes, perhaps a little
you know,
excessive.
if you were to actually put that in to a music artist and be like, okay, yeah, we're going to do a shoot every single month to make all of your content, you're looking at probably realistically back then $5,000 for a shoot to do that sort of content. They wouldn't pay that because the ROI on that wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't make any sense to do. So we sort of made ourselves redundant because we always worked in the best interest of the client, and that would be getting more and more attention for them. So we would tell them, you need to turn the camera on your phone and turn it on to you and document your whole life. So then it sort of went to a point where it's like, okay, well, what content are you making? And we were just making then the sales content. So it's like, here's how we take your album, here's how we take your tour, here's how we take your merch strategy. And while that was happening, we then developed a bit of a relationship more with brands. And then we started realizing that, music artists really don't want to pay for this service. They begrudge paying for
and
this.
they can do a lot of it themselves.
And brands have it sounds naive to say this, we didn't think of it back in the day. Brands have something called a marketing budget.
They do.
Yeah.
They sit down each year and they go, here's the spend that we must actually distribute to agencies or whoever it may be to help market our brand. No music artist that I've ever come across, and still to this day, I don't believe, sits down at the start of the year or the start of the tax year and goes, right, 100K for marketing, how are we going to spend it?
They don't think like a business, full stop.
They don't think like that at all. So everything is always like, oh God, have I got to pay this? Oh, really? And you know,
there's not much money in it.
There's no money.
I mean, it's still collapsing, isn't it? In a way, as an industry, you know,
there's no money. No, unless you are, unless you're
enormous.
Or you're like a KSI and you're an influencer and then you sign a record deal.
So what he's done?
Yeah, we worked on his first ever record, which is called Keep It Up or something. I can't remember. I don't remember when that was. 2017 maybe.
I
think it might be that.
Can't get it up. Polaroid, keep it up. Still up.
That might well be wrong, by the way. I might well just be causing an issue.
Sponsored by Viagra. Yeah.
But it was signed by Island Records. So it was Island Records realizing at that time, okay, well, if we just sign someone that's got whatever 10 million subscribers on YouTube, doesn't matter what the record is, it'll get to number one, and it did.
Wow. Is he any good? Are we allowed to say? No.
I mean, if you think about when you define what is good, it becomes quite interesting here, isn't it? Because if you look at it from a business point of view, is he any good? Unbelievable. Because what he's done there is basically gone, yeah, I can make a number one record. And he did. But is it musically any good? Is that track going to be played in 60 years' time and looked back on like the Beatles catalogue? No.
Possibly not.
Yeah. Well, these are the natives, aren't they? KSI, and he's the guy who's going to fight Tyson.
This is when you're sitting in the old people's home and suddenly it comes on the radio with this absolute banger of a classic. And you're like, shit, I was wrong.
It's true, though. Brands have budgets. Plus, brands aren't people, so they need to communicate. I mean, people are brands, but as you say, they're much more complex about that.
And there's an element of growing up, I think, as a business as well for us. We've gone on that journey. I think when I started this, I'm 35 now. So when I started this, I was 20.
Okay, wow.
So you even think there's a big journey that I've gone on to, managing one person, to 2, to 4, to 8, to managing a social media budget of 20K to 200K.
And in
to
a way,
million.
you've grown up with the new media, right?
Yeah.
Like as it's refined and changed what it does, so have you.
Are you passionate about Ghost? Or, I mean, as a business, of course. Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, massively. It's like, I think when you've created something yourself, it's like your own baby.
Yeah.
And the look and feel of it is
Less annoying
of
a lot of the time than an actual baby, as it turns out.
Very well. I don't know. I mean, businesses have a different challenge.
Yeah, you have 3 babies.
I have 3 babies. Yeah.
But within it, you're passionate about building your business. Is there a? I mean, there's a sort of weird line here between I mean, actually, you've probably said it already because you follow what works. Ultimately, it's a bit like, and I don't want to relate you to it, but it's like, gossip sells or Daily Mail sells, isn't it? But with a brand, then there's a sort of element that you're trying to uphold some prestige. But is it that you go, well, we could do this and it wouldn't get a lot of lights, or you could just get in your underpants and stick a banana on your head or whatever, and that's going to be really popular? Do you know what I'm saying? It really badly.
Yeah. I would say that we're not like that now, and I don't think social media is like that anymore.
Is it not?
No,
just
no.
doing silly stuff.
Yeah,
is not.
I think back in the day, and when we first started, it was all about attention grabbing, because when you're a music artist, you trade off your attention. Right? The more likes I have, the higher billing I get at a festival, the more money I get. Blah blah blah. When the brands we work with now, yes, not to say that they don't want attention. Of course they do. But we're talking about one of the biggest banks in the world is one of our clients.
Okay.
They're not going to post, I don't know,
silly
shit. And businesses now take social media quite seriously. It is a verified marketing channel that can make you money. It's not just a place where you just watch memes and stuff. Like, there are businesses making huge amounts of money through social media.
Do you curate your clients? I mean, are you discriminating about who you take on, or is there a criteria like they have to be X, so big, or
in our brand vertical that they have to be a particular size. So, no offense to John's Coffee in Warwick, for example, like that wouldn't be a client for
litigation's beginning.
for us, it's just that they're not going to have any money to spend. Our clients predominantly are in the hundreds of millions of revenue.
So big brands, experts, sports around events, and then C-suite. So that's CEOs basically.
Experts in the C-suite's the same. Leaders.
Okay.
It's called leaders.
Leaders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about the brand bit at the moment.
Yeah.
And then the brand for you is actually digging into the brand. Brands can't do it themselves. They struggle with the social media bit, is it? Or, they've got to market. The brand, these big brands are very well defined, aren't they? Big documents about who they are.
Yeah. Well, brands predominantly set themselves up in 2 ways, really. They have an internal team and then they use agencies. Most big brands that we work with will always use agencies because it's just not possible to deliver the amount of work they need to do, internally. It's just not possible.
Plus they can cut it if the times get tough. Is that important?
Yes, I think so. Marketing's always the first thing to go.
Yeah.
Whenever there's times are tough, marketing normally will be the first thing to get paused or go. But I think the reason why we exist and why we've been successful is because we are specialists on social. So we are not trying to compete with, the big agency brands out there. We are social media specialists, and people need to realize now that if you want to be successful on social, you probably have to either internally hire people that understand social, or you have to go to an agency that understands it. Going to just here's an agency, or here's a digital agency, or here's an agency group just doesn't work anymore. Fundamentally does not work anymore. And the reason why I can say that with confidence is those big agency groups often come to us at Ghost to do some of their work.
Right, so they're like subcontracting basically to you guys.
Why do you think it doesn't
Because you're
work?
the specialists.
Why can't another agency do it? A bigger agency this is. I mean, you're quite a big agency, by the way. I mean, in the world of marketing, companies don't get that massive generally, do they?
Yeah, but we're not like, you know, if we think about who we compete with, and when we're around round tables and we look at the other agencies we're sat against, they're 2,000 staff.
Wow. International.
And how many are you guys?
40. There's a big difference.
But they can't actually do
difference.
what you do because they just become a big corporate and they get stuck on their own decisions?
Well, they're not a social media agency.
Okay, there's a lack of focus.
Yeah, they're a digital agency. And therefore, when you run an agency that's 2,000 staff or whatever, social media doesn't have the margins and returns to be able to run your business as 50% social media experts.
God, isn't all the money in social media? No. Where's the money?
No. The big money is in media buying.
Yeah, okay.
In terms
And
of
it's
if
sort
you're
of
looking,
understood, isn't it? It's
well,
like,
if you're looking at gross revenue, if you're looking at, it gets a little bit tricky in advertising world, because obviously if you're the advertising agency for McDonald's, your gross money you'll be getting from McDonald's would be what? I don't know, McDonald's spend probably $5 billion a year on marketing. But how much does that agency actually get? Because a lot of that's pass-through cost, right? That'd be going to the distribution platforms. So the big money from a gross point of view is in advertising. And then the big money, I'd say, in like net revenue is in big, high production. So that would be like your TV adverts or big things like that. No one in their right mind who's got any sense would spend £1 million on a social media video.
On the video, of course. And actually, it would be such a waste of money.
You would be insane to do that. But how many brands spend £1 million on a TV advert?
A lot. Although some of the best adverts cost £2.
That's so weird. But it's also so weird in that I don't think I've seen a TV advert in the last
But you're probably like me. You've ended up on Netflix and stuff.
Well, annoyingly, okay, this is a sidebar, but annoyingly, I don't have an aerial, so I can only get like Netflix and iPlayer and Disney and like
you can watch ITVX on your laptop and cast it to your TV.
Yeah, I know, but fuck it.
Why do you know how to do this? What you obviously, I mean, and do you have to hire sort of young people to stay up with it? You've obviously got a sense. You understand marketing, I would say. Not many people do actually. Marketing in the proper word, looking at a brand, saying, "Okay, well, what are we going to do?" Where's you always just had that as a knack, or?
I think so. Yeah, it's some people can sing, some people can't sing, and you can train someone to get a little better at singing, but the real people that are at the top of the game don't need to be trained. They've just got it. And I've always been someone that's looked at stuff constantly. So I've grown up dyslexic. Which is fascinating when I look back on my life now to realize why I'm probably sat in this seat is because of that. Whereas
40% of
CEOs are dyslexic. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's such a high bar and such a high stat with that. Is that I didn't solve problems in an academic way. I didn't solve problems, or I didn't think about things by writing down. I put everything into boxes. I analyzed. I looked, and I did it all in my mind. And from a marketing point of view, you don't, unless you're a copywriter, unless you're writing really good copy, marketing is all about looking and analyzing.
And actually, some of the best rappers and some of the best copy probably comes from dyslexia if they get help. I mean, the other thing I noticed, which is interesting if you grow up dyslexic, is you're always wrong. Like you're always getting stuff back with red ink on it. You're very accepting of the fact that, you're not very good at this. You know what I mean? It's sort of 50% of your life is not just like, oh, you didn't do that well. It's like, this is appalling. Like it's covered in red ink, these subjects are disaster. Go see the headmaster again,
Nice rhyme.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up and I wanted to do advertising actually, especially once I watched that film Crazy People. Do you remember watch Crazy People? It's got
who's in it?
Dudley Moore's in it as the main guy.
Okay.
It's the one where he basically he has this revelation that you should just be honest. So he does like, Volvo, boxy but good. Porsche, you're going to get slayed or whatever. And they accidentally put the ads out, and then everyone goes bananas. But actually, ahead of its time in a way, advertise. In fact, there are hints of that, isn't there? There's the famous sort of Volkswagen lemon, thing and stuff like that. But I mean, it's interesting. You see it through that prism of dyslexia. Did you do badly at school? Did they recognize dyslexia on you?
They didn't know.
They didn't recognize.
No. Which
I'm 10 years older and they did recognize.
Which is, I sort of look back on it and I was like, how did you? It's so obvious. Like they just put me into classes,
stupid class.
Yeah, to like try and get my spelling better. And I was like,
I know they give you more of the same.
Yeah, it's just like this same. Like, let me do the exam by talking to you. Yeah, because I guarantee you, if you without me looking at what the question is, if I can just explain to you my thinking behind the question, I'll be doing a lot better than if you ask me to write it down. The school system is broke for people like me.
Was it out of interest? Because, and this sounds a terrible question, but an interesting one. Was it a state school? Was it private school?
Because state school.
Okay, a private school. It literally. I can tell you, I was 13, and my house master spent all this time, and then he tried to teach me these words that I kept failing, and he said, "There's something wrong with you. I've heard about this thing called dyslexia." And they just set up the Hornby Centre. And it was brand new because it was brand new that there was a legal pathway that some lady fought for years. Quite rightly, actually, because people were getting thrown away by society. But it's not normally I meet someone who's 35. Well, in a way, you haven't been affected. You quite often can meet someone who's 50 or 60.
No, because it hasn't changed. Because my 16-year-old niece, she was at a state school and they were like, because all her sisters are mega bright and all at Cambridge. And they were like, well, she's not. She's not that bright. She's middle of the class. She's doing fine. And my sister and brother-in-law were like, she finds it really hard to read. There is something wrong here. They wouldn't look at anything.
That is unbelievable. And then, that's now she's 16.
Yeah, she's 16 now. They sent her to a private school 2 years ago to do her GCSEs, and they went, yeah, she's dyslexic. Here's another class for dyslexic. She's dyspraxic. Here's a class for that. And they immediately recognised it all and sorted it out. And that's like a mediocre, small private
I find that quite shocking, don't you?
That's because it has not changed.
It's not that complicated to spot it.
No.
Once you understand it.
It's very obvious and very easy.
Yeah. You would look down your grades and say, oh, well, they're quite good at those subjects. Absolutely appalling at all these language-based subjects. And then when I talk, you only need to then talk to a dyslexic, say, oh, very verbal, very interesting, intelligent person. Exactly. To be honest, when the original test is fascinating, because I had to have like my mum wait and stuff, it was a 6-hour test. So what they didn't really understand dyslexia, but they knew if you gave you a long enough, because you had to pass this standard to get the relief, the extra time in exam. If they tested your IQ for long enough, did a really long IQ test, then they'd say, okay, it is clear you are good at this and absolutely terrible at that. Your spelling age, you probably get the same thing. My spelling age is still like,
But I think the thing is,
I was like 4.
Is it? Yeah.
But the thing is, to be honest, like if you've got a class, if you've got 4 classes in a year and each class is 40 kids, how the fuck do you pick out one dyslexic and deal with it? You just don't.
Well, no, I mean, it's shocking to me, though, that you statistically 10% of dyslexia, you've got to create one class where you teach them differently, Anyway, okay, so that you've always been able to look at the world like that and see it in a different kind of way. And are you still frontline advising the clients all the time? Or?
So my role is really split into 2 parts. So as a CEO...
Smoking cigars.
Smoking cigars. As a CEO... it's very hard to define what does a CEO do. It's
all the shit jobs, as Elon Musk says.
Yeah, it's a very weird sort of, it's the only role that doesn't have a job description. Because you as the CEO make up what it is that you do. And every CEO is very different.
You have to lead. You've got to have a vision and lead and look after the team. But you're right, day to day, just random stuff.
Could be anything. So half my job is being CEO of the business. And then the other half of my job is leading on the strategy with clients.
You enjoy that?
Yeah. And that's normally the first initial conversations with a client.
So is that because you don't really want to miss out on it?
No.
I think you're genuinely good at it and you enjoy it.
That's the
thing. Maybe there's a little bit of control, but there kind of should be if you're good at it.
There's definitely a little bit of control, especially in the pitching stage, and within building what a client should do on social. But it's also, I think, why would someone come to Ghost? That's what you've got to think. Like the world that we live in and the industry that we are based in is so competitive now. Like when I first started, social media agencies didn't exist. We would have been one of the first. Now everyone's got a social media agency. You know, I'm an influencer. I've got 20,000 followers on Instagram. I've now got a social media agency. There's just endless. The barriers to entry on being a social media expert are zero. It's literally I've got an Instagram account. I'm now a social media expert.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So there has to be something in terms of every single stage of the Ghost process. As a client, you feel like you're getting value that you can't get elsewhere.
Do you find, I find ideas very possessive. So the problem with not being involved is you let someone else do it and they come out, you hear what's going on and you're like, oh God, I wouldn't have done it like that, you know?
So I'm not really on the ideas side. No. So like the idea side is not really something that I'm involved in anymore. It used to be, but in terms of just like, what's the actual idea that's getting posted on TikTok for a particular brand, I don't really get involved in. It's actually setting up you as a business to be successful on social is what I try and work out.
So is that principle, if it's not the sort of principles or the pillars or...
That's one part of the several things. I guess the easiest way to try and describe what I try and do in money terms, and I think people that are listening to this at home, is most people at home understand each month from their salary where their money goes. Right?
I've no fucking idea, but yeah, it goes somewhere.
But you roughly know that, okay, well, you know, half my salary goes on my mortgage, 10% goes on my electricity bill. You've got a rough idea. You should have. If you haven't, then you're fucked, basically.
I'm a lawyer. I don't do numbers.
No, you don't need to worry. You've got enough money if you're a lawyer.
No. I'm just like, it's the Mr. McCorber thing of as long as you're over zero at the end, you're fine.
It's gone, you know.
But people have a rough idea of where they're spending. Now, if you go and speak to a brand and you ask them simple questions of like, why are you even on social media? They won't be able to answer that. If you then ask them, okay, so where are you?
People said we should.
Yeah, which is not a reason.
Yeah.
You know, or I don't really know why I'm on there. But there's not a clear, tangible, we're on social media for this particular benefit. And then if you ask them the next question, which is, where are you spending your money on social? And what objectives are you trying to reach? They don't know. So I'm trying to go in and be a financial advisor to some degree to be like, right, okay, where are you spending all of this money? So, oh my God, 90% of your money is going on your mortgage. This is a bit of an issue. Mm-hmm. You know, you're heading for a car crash pretty soon.
Buy a smaller house.
Yeah.
So that's my job. I'm really more like a therapist. When it first comes to speaking to Ghost, you get this sort of like therapy session for me to work out what are your problems, what are you trying to achieve, and are we as an agency...
You have a very calming voice, actually.
That's good. No, that's nice.
Are you beyond help?
But are we also the right agency? Because there's times where we speak to people like, we're not the right people you need to speak to. You need to speak to PR.
Yeah.
The problem you're trying to solve is not a social one. It's a PR one. Or...
And that's a good example. These aren't, you know, you shouldn't feel you're stupid that these things get conflated and stuff. No one really knows what marketing means. You know what I mean? You get so lost in the wood for the trees.
Yeah.
So for someone to step back from it and saying, oh yeah, you actually need to go over there and think about this problem. You know, we're here to spend your money on social media.
And I think that's the reason why we get clients.
Yeah.
So to come back to, I think, might have been the first question, which is if you don't do any of this marketing, how have you become successful and how have you got clients? Because over time, if every single time you meet someone, you give them a positive response to you as a person and you as a business, that will eventually come back. The way we've won business is so ridiculous sometimes, like in terms of how we've had a meeting with somebody, then 2 years later, that person has then remembered that meeting, put me in touch with somebody else, which then put me in touch with, and then, there's a brand new client that's going to give us £500,000.
Okay, it's exactly like lawyers.
Well, it's exactly like our business. We don't really need to be on social media. We're on LinkedIn. It's all word of mouth. Do you know what I mean?
I've had a conversation with somebody and, you know, just kind of, because I'll talk to anybody, talk to them, giving them some kind of off-the-cuff advice. 5 years later, I get a text going, hi, do you remember me? We had a conversation 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to do something.
Yeah, but then you've also got the ability to be able to deliver when someone does ask for that. We have the same. So that when someone sort of goes, I remember speaking to you, can you just remind me again of where you are and what you do? And then they hear the clients that we work with and they go, okay, yeah, cool. You're working with one of the biggest banks in the world. You're working with one of the biggest holiday parks in the UK.
And how did you get into it? How did you go from not doing very well at school to setting this up?
Yes. So when I was 10, I knew what I wanted to do, which I think is so unique,
Unusual.
almost.
Did social media exist at that point?
No, but I knew I wanted to work in the music industry, and I wanted to be in the business side of the music industry.
Wow.
I didn't want to be a music artist. I didn't want to be famous in any way, shape, or form. I wanted to be the person that was behind all these successful music artists.
The impresario or whatever.
Yeah.
Why did it even occur to you that there was somebody like that? Did you know people in?
I grew up in
musical?
I grew up in a very musical family in terms of, well, my dad, for example, was although he's a carpenter, was very music obsessed, and would always be playing records to me, explaining a lot to me. I felt like my school was Saturday night between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. with my dad. My dad would tell me everything from the age of like 10 to 16. Like, my dad showed me how to cut cocaine, which sounds ridiculous. But he was like, at some point,
useful skill to have.
but he was like, at some point, son, this is going to come to you, and you need to know whether or not you want to do it. And if you're going to do it, let me know, because I'll make sure you're getting good stuff. And I've never done drugs in my life.
Wow.
Showed me everything.
What did your dad do?
He was a carpenter.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And he wasn't a cokehead either, by the way. Let's put that out. He was an alcoholic and died from that, but still.
Okay, well.
That was. I had such a good education.
When did he die?
He died year before COVID, 2019.
Wow.
So he was 62.
Okay.
Yeah. But had such a very good understanding of, okay, so this is a career then, Dad. I could go in and be behind. And he'd tell me these stories about how he'd party with some of these people, blah, blah, blah. So that gave me a very clear pathway of what I wanted to do, which I think for someone that's 10 is very, very unique. So I just focused on that. I was like, okay, I'm going to get into music. I'm going to start playing the drums. I'm going to start, like, as soon as I can think about like managing a band, I'm going to try and manage a band. Went and did music technology at college. From college, went and did music business in Guildford at ACM. When I was at Guildford at ACM, the lecturer there said, does anyone want to go and do an internship at a marketing agency 3 days a week in London? I was the only person with my hand up.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely do that. They didn't pay anything other than like my travel and like lunch.
Yeah.
So I was doing that for free whilst also working at Zavvi, the CD shop.
Gosh, yeah.
So I was basically at uni working at Zavvi and doing an internship all at the same time. So didn't have a day off. And then that was my route in. So I was like, okay, right, I'm in the music industry now. Like, I am doing marketing campaigns for Natalie Imbruglia. Is that her? Was that who it is? Torn, that was it. Yeah. And that's how it all started.
Do you have a long-term goal?
For Ghost or
for Ghosts. Or, are they not intertwined? You started there.
I think my long-term goal has never changed, actually, which has always been, I've always wanted to be somebody that employs anybody at any stage in their career and takes them from, if they're a 7 out of 10 on like how good they are, to take them to a 9 or whatever.
Oh, it's the people. It's the people
that's
experience.
You want to kind of polish them up.
Yeah, my goal is always, you come into Ghost and I'll make you better.
That's a very appealing kind of invitation as well. I would have thought you.
And I think it was a lot easier for the first probably like 10 years. It's a lot harder now.
Where'd you get the talent from now? You have to sort of, I don't want to say hang around universities, but hang around universities.
That sounds slightly dodgy,
That's
to
what
be
I mean,
honest.
yeah.
Well, it depends upon the role that you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you're looking for, people that are managing clients, then you have to look at people that have got experience. If you're looking at people that are going to be on the front end of social, like managing and working out how TikTok works, then you need to be going for people that are actually doing that role, and they're most likely younger.
Isn't everyone after these people now? Isn't this why they're all sort of earning lots of money? The new, it's hard to get them, or?
I don't think so, because pretty much anybody in that age bracket of, say, whatever, 18 to 24 is natively very good at social now.
Okay.
It's whether or not you want to turn that into a career, and then working out from that, actually, what are you really good at when it comes to social?
Is this why you got a website to find talent though? Was that part? No.
No. Talent acquisition is something that I don't. You either use recruiters that are specialists in this particular area, or you put adverts out on LinkedIn. Talent acquisition isn't that hard when you're looking at the social media like creators. Where it gets very tricky is looking at people that are at my level in social. So when you're looking at somebody that can walk into a room and can work out exactly what a big bank or a big multinational needs on social and knows if they're going to say, here's £1 million, how do you spend it? That they know exactly what to say. Because most people have never had to deal with that. Being an expert in social media and being an influencer that's had an agency, you've never been given 100 grand to spend on social and turn that into an investment that's going to make them money.
Hard to recruit for too. And there's not many people who can do that. You know, it's a much rarer skill. Okay.
What do you think the biggest problem is facing the industry?
The industry that I work in, the biggest problem is really, really simple. Is what we've sort of been talking about is that everyone now thinks they're a social media expert and no one really is. You know, I wouldn't even class myself as one. I don't believe that it's a industry where you can actually say you're an expert in, because it's so, like, if you actually really start to break down everything that's inside social media, it's not possible to be an expert, because you've got to understand audience behavior first of all, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. It's all about making something to go to an audience and understanding how that audience is going to behave. So you've got to really understand audience, and you've got to understand audience in its every single facet. So like, how does audience X differ to audience Y? So you've got to understand that first of all. Then you've got to understand every single platform. So what's happening on X right now versus Snapchat versus Twitch versus Facebook versus like what's Instagram going to do next? Oh, is a YouTube Shorts a thing? What about this Threads thing? So then you've got to be an expert on all of those platforms. And then you've got to understand content, but not content in one particular format. You've got to understand content in terms of still design, animation, dynamic content, videography, photography. Then you've got to understand style. So if I'm taking a brand in a particular way, what style of that, how should that content look? What's the style and the DNA of that content? Right? And you've got to understand how you advertise on those platforms. So you've got to become an expert in social ads. So Facebook has a business manager that's different to X, it's different to Snap. The list can go on and then you've got to be an expert. So then for somebody to be, oh yeah, I'm a social media expert.
It's too big a subject these days.
It's complete bullshit. As soon as, if you ever are listening to this and you meet someone who says a social media expert, no, you're not. It's not possible. Like, you know, it's literally like someone meeting you and going, hey, I'm a life expert.
I mean, I have met people that say that.
Yeah. And those people,
most of them are life coaches, so that's just painful.
So that's the biggest issue that's facing is you've got so much hot air in the world of social media. Everyone running around saying they're an expert, and then you've got people that need to buy social media services that don't know what they need. So they're buying from these people that are self-proclaimed experts, and then the expert is leading this person, and they both don't really know what they're doing.
Where do you see it going? Do you see there's going to be more and more platforms, or less and less? Or, I mean, at the moment, what's been happening? More platforms, but not massive. I mean, there's like 30 the main ones now, but it's still not a massive number, really.
I don't think there necessarily more platforms. I think the platforms, you know, I mean, TikTok has obviously been the biggest one that's come out of, I guess to some degree, being relatively new. It's still quite old in the grand scheme of things. Be Real is probably the newest one that's come from nothing to something.
Be Real.
But the
Pippa, you love it. You do Be Real.
I do Be Real.
The platforms are probably like the one thing that you shouldn't necessarily worry about if you're a social media person, because they're quite prescriptive with what you do on them. Like how you manage Be Real is very different to how you manage X, to how you manage YouTube. You don't go onto YouTube and try and do what you would do on Be Real.
Yeah.
Wouldn't work. That's just not possible.
I mean, I only use Be Real to check my niece's real life. That's kind of it. But yeah.
And Be Real hasn't made the step into being a commercial platform that brands can use. So it's very much in its infancy of its journey. So I've never worried about what the next platform is or like what the platforms do. You just that for me is never really the problem. The issue is trying to educate people that are in marketing roles to actually understand the benefit of social for them and then where and how to spend their money.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem, is because you've got people that they're going to and no one's sitting down with them before they do anything, go, hey, stop. Let's stop everything. Let's not even worry about any platform, any strategy. What do you want to do? Like, what's your business strategy? Are you gearing up? Are you a coffee brand that in 2 years' time must sell? You're going to sell. Okay. That means your social media now has to gear you up to make you attractive for acquisition.
Yeah.
So let's start talking. That you need to have some real hard therapy conversations.
And while
with
you're
people.
at it, find a lawyer who will help you prepare the company for sale.
Yeah.
But people don't do that. People will just think about social media. Okay, yeah, let's just get some content out there. Let's just talk about this particular thing that we've got to deal with right now.
Yeah, so it's like firefighting rather than strategy.
Most people that are in, and I'm generalizing massively here, but most people that are in the brand space that we would talk to and work with are big brands, and they see, or internally they see social media as like a news board. Hey, can I pin this thing on social today, please? The next day, can we just get this out? Why? Why do you want to get? Well,
Stop asking why.
We need to tell our fans that we've done this particular thing. Why do you need to tell them? Like, you've got to get to the point of just like, okay, so the real issue you've got as a business is you've got an awareness gap, right? But you want to tell them about a business that you've just acquired. That means fuck all right now.
Yeah.
That means nothing.
Show them what's in your fridge.
Like, show them what's in the fridge. Like, you've got to. So we need to
metaphorically.
We need to be making content that's purely focused on awareness. So all of the news board stuff that you want to do, or you've got a recruitment issue. Oh shit, we've got to employ 12,000 people because we're a seasonal business, and we need to use social media as a way to make our employee brand really strong.
How do you feel about social media driving society on a youth basis? So when someone showed me all the top clips on TikTok, this is a few years ago, and they were unintelligible. They were like these 7-second things, someone pretending to play a piano. This is for music, running out a door, something slamming. But I sat and watched them and I thought, who'd enjoy these? My 4-year-old son would think these hilarious, but they were completely unintelligible. It then just led to a next thought to say, hang on social media, it doesn't say you got 1 million followers, this many are under 10, this many are under 15. And then you've got sort of certain issues like, how people want to be addressed, which is something that bothers you when you're 19 and you couldn't give two flying, when you're 40. People might get very upset about that, but the sort of pronoun thing, we all use our names and maybe you'll get the name wrong and let's move on sort of thing. Seems like there's perhaps a social media sort of driving, huge social issues at the moment, but it's being driven by people who are frankly underage to be driving those decisions. If they're under 18, are we really supposed to listen to them? Do you think I'm talking bollocks? I keep thinking about this.
It feels a bit ageist, man.
It is ageist. I'm exactly saying I want to know the age of people. I want to know this guy's got 1 million followers and they're between 40 and 45. Oh, I'll check him out.
I would go deeper into that and actually say that I would be very, very for banning social media for anyone under the age of 16.
Yeah.
Like that there should be such stricter laws in place that make it impossible in some capacity to get on social media if you're under the age of 16.
Because it's bad for you as well.
It's so bad for you.
But how do you get that genie back in the bottle?
I don't think people fully understand the damage that social media is doing, regardless of the subject or the issue. I don't think it even really matters because it's what you're consuming, but it's also the time that you're spending. Yeah. Like if you were to take the average person on the streets of London right now and you would just go, hey, can I just follow you for the next 24 hours? And every single time you go on a social media site, I'm going to do a shot of vodka.
Oh, people would be hammered.
How long would it take until you'd be on the floor? Probably less than a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And when you look at it in that particular way.
And that's almost a metaphor for what you're doing to yourself.
To some degree. I'm the biggest proponent of, obviously, social media in terms of my livelihood, but I'm also fully aware of having a conversation in terms of what it's actually doing for people and for individuals. And I think you've got to try and get ownership of that yourself.
And if it's rotting their brain, clicking on these things, following these things, watching these things again and again and again and again and again, and also you create content for that, it is just feeding what's that film? There's a film about us becoming stupid. It's like you're literally feeding a problem. It's like I don't know. I think we've got to do something soon about it. I mean, you could do 16 and then you start getting it a bit, but the genie's out of the bottle, isn't it?
I mean, I obviously only discovered X, Twitter, when I think around 2010, around then, so I was a fully grown adult And that hasn't stopped me becoming obsessed.
I don't think banning is going to stop people from doing it. What it does is it limits the amount of people that can get access to it. It's like cigarettes. Like, yes, we all smoked cigarettes when we were 16, but it was much harder to get hold of.
Maybe you could get access to it, but you can't like or follow. You can't add to the statistics. So the stuff that is being brought up, and that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see not just over 16, I'd like to see over 25 and over 16. And no, all of this audience between 60 and 25, or they're over 25, because it's proven scientifically your brain doesn't stop developing till you're basically 25 when you first get a job. And we all became the person we are. And we think, oh, we were always that person.
Most people get jobs a little bit earlier than that.
They do, but you have to do the job for a while until your brain, it's your last big experience in life, working out you're worthless and shut the fuck up. And also we're all level and it's not like hierarchy. There's, because we're a training organization, I guess like you, we get all these people straight out of university. And I've always found them fascinating for that first year or two because they are such kids. They don't, if you don't tell them to go A to B to C, they just, the simple example I've made many times, if you give them a piece of work, they don't come at the end of the day and say, this is where I got to. Like 2 weeks later, you're like, what the hell happened to that? Where is it? Oh yeah, I saved it on the drive. It's like, how am I a mind reader? You don't understand that we're a team. It's not like I'm a teacher. I gave you homework and that's it. And I'm going to find it for you. So there's some, it's not bullshit science to say it's pretty proven you sort of become a full adult. Isn't it really dangerous to have people who aren't full adults driving, or at least be aware of who's driving that conversation? You could do it by saying you can access it when you're 10, but you can't statistically affect whether it's popular or not, or whether this thing should be looked at, whether this music TikTok, which is meaningless to anyone. I suddenly realized I can imagine my son loving it and I can imagine him clicking on it 1,000 times. I don't even have time to watch it 3 times, so I'm the statistical anomaly. Who's got the time? It's a bit like music, isn't it? Who drives record sales? Kids, much younger than you realize, because they're the ones really listening to the song hundreds of times. Anyway, it's an interesting thought.
Biggest fuck up. And what did it teach you? Obviously, that's the important bit.
Yeah, in terms of, I think probably biggest fuck up that I've ever made would be, I can't think of one specific, like, I didn't.
Oh, I can. No.
I didn't charge a client for a year and I forgot to charge. I can't really think of anything that's been like absolutely huge. I think probably more like just communication with individual people that I've been managing. Really. And that comes down to the fact that I was a manager of 10 people at the age of 23. Not many people are in that situation.
Do you tell people you're going to take them from there to there? Because doesn't that slightly set you up for a fool that people will say, well, you didn't do it in, 3 weeks?
No, but it's a nice feeling. Most jobs you go to, it's like, you've got to perform.
Yeah, it's lovely what you say, but you tell them when you
support you to grow.
But it's not a one-way street.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't ask the questions, you won't get the advice.
Yeah. And actually, we must pick up Angus. I don't know if we can. Who's one of my first ever podcast guests? We talked about Newstead, and your business partner, your silent business partner.
Not that silent.
No. Listen to that, Angus. A little more silence on the ghost front. Yeah, okay. That's it. You effectively, what drives you is people, and you feel like a failure if you don't inspire them enough, or it didn't work out, or you can't get them to move forward. Is it?
It's more about like progress. It's like, isn't it great when you think about? I don't know if you met Joe, who's the COO of Ghost. He was an intern for me 10 years ago. And
that's great.
That's the sort of just like, wow, what story. It's like that, and then people have come and worked at Ghost and gone and worked at Nike. It's like, that's cool. You worked at Ghost, and your next job was Nike.
Yeah, well, I said it when we were warming up. I asked for some advice about the best agency to go to for something, and they were like, "Oh, there's this place, Ghost." So that was nice, getting tripping over yourself, sort of thing. Yeah, you've built an amazing invisible reputation. Yeah. Best piece of advice?
The best piece of advice I ever got was when I was young. So rather than actually from a work environment, was like, focus on what you're good at and don't worry about what you're shit at.
God, I'm so there for that.
Rather than trying to oh God, I'm actually really not very good at doing that. So I need to put all my energy into making that thing that I'm not good at better.
Pride almost.
Like,
This is
just be honest with yourself and just go, do you know what? I'm not going to do that. So fuck that off.
That's why I have a cleaner. 'Cause I'm so fucking shit at it. There's no point.
I think that's a dyslexic thing again, because there's some things you're really bad at. So
and you're comfortable.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
I'm
comfortable just
to
saying, I can't do those things.
No,
I don't
I'm not
care.
going to bother doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the best advice I got. So then I really focused on the things that I knew that I was good at.
Sex.
No, this was when he was very young.
Sex, rock and roll, and eating jammy Dodgers.
So that was. I think that was very helpful and something that I still do to this day.
What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
Work on your weaknesses.
Focus on the things you're shit at.
Get really good at spelling. I must admit, I'm not someone that really is very good at remembering bad things.
Okay, that's a nice trait.
So I'm one of the very few people, I think, where, like, you know, if I hear a bad comment or if someone tells me something that I think I've got a very good hard drive in my mind, which I can just put into the bin very quickly.
Well, it's not you. I actually, when they first said we were going to ask this question, I was like, that's not a good question because you won't remember it. You know, if it's bad advice, you'd be like, it's not important to me. You know, someone said do X and you're like, well, I sort of vaguely tried and that was terrible advice, you know.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's ever really sat me down and gone, I think this social media thing's not very good. Why didn't you start, you know, making wellies? Like, you should pivot and make wellies instead.
like Nokia. Doesn't Nokia make wellies?
No, Samsung started.
Oh, is that how
Samsung started as making wellies? That was its first business.
Oh, wow.
And then
that's a big pivot.
Very good pivot from their side, isn't it?
Beautiful. And the big question, I guess, what is bullshit in the industry and why?
Well, I think we've spoken about all these bloody people that profess to be social media experts.
Yeah.
to be quite honest.
Do you sometimes think, though, this whole industry is sort of bullshit in a way? Or, you know, I mean, marketing as a whole, not even social media, or...
No, because I think fundamentally marketing, we live in a society where we consume.
Yeah.
Right.
And we talk to each other all the time.
There's no, you can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, you know, we shouldn't have marketing because then we built a particular society that we live in and marketing is a fundamental part of that society. If you're living in an ashram in India, marketing is not important. But most of us are not living in an ashram in India.
Is there anything, though, that you go to industry events or know other industry people and just think, I mean, we've raised the one that it should be banned under 16. Maybe it's that. The young, you know, what is bullshit is that the young shouldn't get hold of it.
I think there needs to be again a wider understanding, not only for businesses as to why social media is important for you, but for individuals as to why social media is bad for you.
Do they teach it at school now?
Of course not. No. And they don't. And like, you know, they don't really teach it at university because I think I sit here and think, who the hell is qualified to go and teach social media at university? Because I'm not. And if I'm one of the very few people that started social media and has worked with, there's almost an industry that I haven't worked in, from like waste management to holiday parks to political leaders to global celebrities to etc. And I don't feel comfortable teaching social media at uni.
That may say more about you.
Yeah, I think you could do it.
No, because I don't think it's possible. You can teach parts of it, so you could teach audience mapping, or you could teach like how, you know,
healthy social
you
media.
You could teach certain parts of it, but you can't teach the entirety of social media to somebody. It's just not possible. So they're the two things I would fundamentally try and change, which is businesses need to have a much better understanding of what to do on social, and then individual consumers need to understand social media, you know, far better than what they currently do.
It's crack.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you how much time do you spend on social media?
Almost. If we look at it from a business to a personal point of view,
Personal, yeah.
personal, I would say less than 10 minutes a week.
I know.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know which way I was going to jump there.
Yeah.
That was a good.
Yeah,
Build
some people will DM me on Instagram, and I'll use Instagram as like almost like a WhatsApp, because that's just for whatever reason they seem to have that conversation there. But I don't, I don't follow anyone on my Instagram.
One of the best pieces of advice I got actually off my brother was turn off all your notifications years ago. He actually has his phone in black and white.
Yeah.
Which is the next level of like reduce the stimulus, you know. I mean, he's 10 years older, but actually it helped years ago. And I was like, I wasn't talking to him about that. He was just like, you need to go turn all your notifications. It takes a while. It takes about 20 minutes. So we're going to do quick fire round, ask you a series of quick questions, get to know you a little better, and you should hopefully know the answers. Dee, our ghost producer, will put some music on and we're off.
What was your first job?
My first job would be working with my dad as a carpenter, shoveling shit into a skip. I don't know if you can class that as a first job. My first job where I actually had to go for an interview was working in a fancy dress.
Did you get paid?
I did get paid, yeah.
Okay.
I paid quite well, actually. So my first job would be technically working with my dad as a carpenter. But my first job in terms of like actually going for like an interview was working at a fancy dress shop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a great place to work.
What were you going to be doing, like helping people into the costumes?
I was wearing the costumes.
Oh, wow.
Like, so this would be when when you're
just
16,
basically a pirate every day.
I think when you're 16, you could do a Saturday job, could you?
Yeah.
You still can.
You still can. So that was my job, which every Saturday I'd work at Walls Carnival stores in Reading. And
yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Okay.
I used to walk past it on the way to school.
Worst job?
I never really had a bad job because I went from Walls Carnival stores to basically working at Zavvi, which is a CD shop, which was cool because I was basically selling CDs and talking about music to everybody. And then I was straight into the industry.
Positive mental attitude, maybe.
Yeah.
What's your special skill?
I'd say my special skill is being able to, probably two parts. One is presenting. So I think like I can look at a keynote in 3 seconds and then present it in its entirety if it's 100 pages long.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't necessarily need to pre-plan for like
look at someone else's keynote and steal it and do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'd be quite a good politician if someone was to put like key cards in front of me. If they were designed in a particular way. So I'd say yeah, presenting would be the first one. And then secondly, I think I have an incredible skill of understanding audiences, which is very valuable for my role. So knowing what a particular segment would want to see and how you would talk to them. So whether that's a builder, right? Or whether that would be like someone who is a wellness freak.
I guess that's about understanding people, is it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then understanding how you talk to them, what they'd be into, what they would like. So when you work in social, you have to verify your work through data. So you'd have to go, right, here are your audience profiles based upon the data. I normally can just do them without the data, but I have to use the data to verify what I've come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't. It's quite obvious for me.
What did you want to be when you grew up? You may have told us this, I think.
Yeah, well, I sort of knew from quite early on. I guess my dream job when I was 10 was to be the marketing director of Item Records.
Jesus. That is peculiar.
Yeah.
That is peculiar.
And I sort of achieved that in some way because by the time I was like 22, 23, the marketing director of all the major labels were all asking to meet me.
Hey.
So I sort of achieved the 10-year-old
cool.
dream at like 23 or
He
so.
said, no, I'm busy, man. I can't
Get
make
in
it.
line.
Yeah. What did your parents want you to be?
Anything. They didn't care. I think, yeah, my mum was just very supportive of any journey, and my dad was very much, you're not being a carpenter.
Tough job.
Okay.
So he was like, you're not working in the building industry. So he was very much like, you can do whatever you want, but you're not working as a trade.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
I'm not a fan of karaoke. So if someone asked me to do karaoke, I then have to turn up with the like Slipknot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone do metal.
Yeah, just because everyone would then be like really pissed. I'd be like, I didn't want to do it in the first place. So
Fuck you.
Yeah. Something like, I push my fingers into my eyes.
Brilliant. Office dogs, business or bullshit?
I couldn't care less.
Good answer.
To be honest.
I think that's the true answer.
Yeah. Like, whatever.
I turned to Romeo, he's not there.
I think actually that's the correct answer. They're not going to help you do your business, but it's not the end
If
of
it
the
helps
world,
you, it helps you. If it doesn't help you, it doesn't help you.
Have you ever been fired?
I've never been hired.
So,
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, that would be difficult then.
And what's your vice?
Oh God, I feel like I'm really boring now.
Yeah,
Like,
you're quite sensible. You're
yeah,
vegan.
yeah, because I stopped drinking about 10 years ago. So
Stop drinking too.
But-
Your dad was an alcoholic.
yeah.
Though.
So when I was drinking in the music heydays of going out all the time, my vice was Malibu.
Oh,
So
wow.
I became quite
clever.
famous in the music industry as the guy that drinks Malibu.
The Malibu guy.
The Malibu guy.
suit almost, isn't it? Del Monte almost. You know?
I can see that. 'Cause it's quite yummy.
When was the last time you had Malibu though?
Oh, probably quite a long time
Yeah,
ago.
try it now and you'll be like, oh my God, this is just pure sugar.
Yeah, but I really love an amaretto sour.
It's
That's my
so
go-to drink.
sweet. Like, and I used to just drink, like get a glass of like.
But do you have a vice now?
My vice now, which probably doesn't sound like a vice, would be this cycling software called Zwift. Which, for those who are into
It
cycling,
might be a vice if it's like
I would-
anything can be.
I
an
would
excess.
say that if I don't go on Zwift every day, I don't feel very good.
And is it like an iPad? It's like the famous one. What's the famous one? Peloton.
It's Peloton for people that take cycling seriously.
Ooh, hear that, Peloton users. Wow. Okay.
I do a Peloton treadmill.
We
though,
have a
so-
client that does cycling software, so we
Yeah.
just.
Well, Zwift is Zwift is in a different world to everything else.
Can you give us top tips for founders and entrepreneurs? 5 if you have them, doesn't have to be.
Yeah, definitely my number one top tip for someone who's starting a business is not to worry what your logo looks like.
Oh, that's a great tip.
So true.
The amount of people that have like, honestly, it
We're gonna
cracks me
change
up.
it,
Like
you know.
cracks me up, and they'll send me like, "Hey mate, do you mind just looking at my business?" Yeah, sure, no worries. Like, what's the business? Well, this is the logo. Yeah, cool. I don't give a fuck what the logo is.
The name? What about the name?
What's
The
the
name
business?
is.
I don't really care too much about the. I don't really care about the
There's
name.
bad names.
Yeah, there's
My
bad
fake
names.
startup has a logo, but nothing else.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like this.
I think, the concept of like logos or names, I don't think are that important unless you're in fashion.
I remember a cosmetic brand that uses semen, which has good skincare product, and they called it something like Spunk. I remember that meeting being like, I'm only an accountant, but I'd probably.
That would definitely be one of my, because I think as a founder and as someone that's like, you focus so much on like the logo and and it's just what's the business?
Yeah.
Like, what's the fundamentals
Start
of the business?
there. It might tell you what the logo is.
Yeah.
But
because-
it's like if you've ever tried to start a law firm, which you will not have done.
No.
But anybody that tries to start a law firm, the first thing that happens is everybody argues about the name for hours and hours and days and days. And then eventually you never get around
Just
to it.
use everyone's surnames.
I would
like
just call it.
everyone
I would
else.
just call it something and something partners.
Yes,
Yeah. No,
Actually, unpronounceable names is part of the industry. When you've got all these law firms which are like, sexy law, and it's like, sexy law.
I'm going to start a law firm called Sexy Law
For
now.
divorces.
Just got to do it.
Yeah.
Great. Anything to read, listen to? Anything else that you would say? Oh, check that out.
Reading wise, God, yeah, loads. I would say. Watch wise, I'm not a big watcher.
Just because you've got 9-month-old children.
To read though, I'd say I'll give a couple of recommendations. If you want to know more about Facebook as a business, there's a great book called Zucked. I've forgotten who the author is, but
That's a good title.
it's great, and it's actually written by someone who's a large shareholder of Facebook and gives a really honest account of Facebook. And demonizes Facebook quite badly. So you can see that it's actually from somebody that has skin in the game and is willing to talk about it.
Facebook, so I don't really have any understanding of what it is.
It's a really good book.
Oh, right.
So I would read that if you want to just understand, I guess, social
That
media
sounds cool.
companies in its
Sucked.
entirety.
Brilliant to use his surname to basically tell him
Yeah.
what he wanted to say.
If you want to read a really good book on business failure, is We Crashed, which is about WeWork.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Oh, yeah.
book.
I watched the film. They turned it into a series.
Yeah. Oh, the book. Sorry, the book is called We Crashed. Is the series. The book is called The Cult of We. I
Okay.
believe it's called.
That sounds
Yeah.
random.
The book's better than the series. Actually, that book's great. And then the classic book, which would be for like any founder and I guess entrepreneur, anyone managing teams, is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I don't know if you've ever come across that.
Crack cocaine.
That's by Stephen R. Covey. That is a book that I think it might be like 30 years old. And I remember reading that when I was like 23, 24, and that massively helped me manage people
Okay.
Okay,
and
that's
understand.
Top tips.
Like seriously good book. Like you can't not read that book and not be a better person after it.
It's amazing how one thing can change you.
And do you listen to any pods?
Yeah, I listen to loads of podcasts. Actually, I've got like a rotation of podcasts that I listen to. I'd say the one podcast that I'd probably recommend the most, which I'd imagine most people on here are listening to, is like The Rest is Politics.
See, I would do it if I didn't hate Rory Stewart.
He just has to get over that.
I just hate him. It just every 5 minutes I want to.
I think he's quite good, Rory, isn't he? He gets annoying, does he?
I really like Alistair Stewart.
I should listen to it. I've done the whole, Alistair thanks Campbell, to Pippa's suggestion, I've now done the whole of Rest is History, which is amazing.
The reason why I suggested that one and the reason why I like it is being on top of the political landscape is very important, I think.
Why? What just is it? Why is it important?
I think that's important when you're running a business and you're running a business that deals with big clients, lots of moving parts, to know, what is the situation like in Israel versus what's happening in Ukraine, but also like what's going on in India right now.
Actually, it's important information for your brain to be able to process.
Just quick. And without reading the FT or without reading long articles about all these situations, you just really basically get nuts and bolts of it.
The other two I'd really recommend is How to Win an Election, which is a Times podcast that has Peter Mandelson and the Tory spin doctor, whose name I can't remember. It'll come to me in a minute. And Polly Mackenzie. And it's really good because these are kind of old hands talking about what's going on right now and kind of deconstructing it.
Oh, maybe I'll switch.
And The Newsagents is great
for
just a short,
it's very good as well.
Up to date of each day and what's going on in the world. It's fantastic.
So that brings us on to the end of the show. Business or bullshit, the game, Bob, this is Dee's going to cue some music. And this is where we're going to reel out some terms. You've got to tell us whether it's business or bullshit. You get a paddle. Get your paddle out. We get a paddle too and we're going to challenge you, hopefully. Might just agree with you.
Okay.
So are we ready?
Yeah.
And we're off.
Internal meetings, business or bullshit? You have to say it as well.
Business.
How many meetings do you have?
Internal ones, I don't personally have that many. But I think that they're essential in today's current hybrid working.
Keep them short, or
the most important thing that we try and operate at Ghost is if you're in a meeting, you don't need to be in it. Leave the meeting.
I'll just bugger off.
Yeah, just be like, this isn't important for me.
See ya.
30 seconds later. Right, now on to John. Where the fuck's John gone again?
which I think is quite hard if you're not senior enough to be able to say, I don't think this meeting's actually that important for me, so I'm just going to leave.
Yeah. Yes, because you might offend somebody more senior, and that's your career done.
You can't run a business without having internal meetings. I know there's some businesses out there, some big businesses out there that don't do that, but I don't know how that's possible.
Pretty tricky. Very good. Next one. B Corp. Did the B Corp thing? Are you a B Corp? Bullshit.
Yeah.
I think bullshit, personally. I mean, I don't know enough about it, but I feel it's just a virtual signaling thing, really.
China.
In what game? What do you mean?
We like to mix it up.
Controversial.
China.
Business or bullshit?
As in like the China in my house? I would say bullshit. The China in my house.
The China in your house.
Yeah, I don't like China in my house.
Good sidestep. Investment TV shows like Dragon's Den, whatever.
Oh man, you got to... Well, it's not really business though, is it?
No.
I would say I think Dragon's Den's fucking hilarious.
Would you ever tell? I mean, it's good for clients, surely. People go on it. Amazing marketing.
To be fair, I have told people that have come to Ghost when I've been like, you need a stunt. You don't need social media. You need a PR stunt, and you should go on Dragon's Den.
I mean, I've had 3 clients so far that have been on Dragon's Den, been offered the money, taken it, and then the next day you just turn around and go, yeah, you know how I said yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really
It's just PR stunt. Like that's why it's
TV.
It's TV. It's
well, it's back to our podcast versus TV. TV's made up. TV's streamlined.
The amount they offer you for the percentage of your company is ridiculous. You just never do it, right? Instagram.
For me, it's business.
Yeah.
Good answer. I know we're just going to keep fucking you up. Russia.
We're going from the sublime to the ridiculous.
I mean, Russia in what capacity?
Well,
it's
doing
just
business with Russia.
Russia, bullshit, wouldn't it? Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
TikTok.
Business, very important business for a lot of people, and they're not taking TikTok seriously.
Do you feel worried about TikTok?
No, the whole concept of TikTok being banned is just a ridiculous concept.
Is it?
It won't get banned because they'll snap IPO. That's never going to happen. That'll be the end of that. So there's no issue with TikTok being banned. It's more of a case of Facebook lobbying the US government.
Is that what's going on?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Someone will get in the comments and correct me on this, but Facebook is definitely in the top 5 biggest lobbyists in the US. So Facebook is in Meta. So it would be Facebook lobbying the US government to say, TikTok's taking all of our lunch money. You got to fucking sort this out.
Wow. And what do you feel? I mean, the world almost being split down the middle. I mean, there's all this stuff about, TikTok in China promotes good behavior, bad here. I mean, if we accept that there isn't perhaps there's definitely an economic tension going on. Do we let me put it a different way. If we were in the Cold War, and are we in a Cold War now? But if we were in the Cold War back in the 70s or 60s, and you said, I can get this machine that will tell you where everyone is, we can influence their behavior, you'd be like, the Spy Academy would be like, get me one of them. So should we not be suspicious about social media at all?
We absolutely should be, but the issue is that we believe in a free market in the West and China don't.
Right. So stand by your principles.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what was Biden going to call up Xi Jinping and be like, look, if you let Facebook in China, I'll let TikTok in. It doesn't work like that, does it?
Yeah.
China would say to fuck off.
Influencing of behavior. I mean, they're all influencing behavior. It's like the Brexit thing. Would a Brexit happen without social media? Let's do to end this conversation. Do you, as someone who's been in this profession a long time, who was in business at the time of Brexit, think that perhaps foreign forces were at play, even influencing opinion, or you think, oh, that's fucking load of nonsense?
Even influencing opinion.
I think so. Yes, but I also think that I don't think social media is purely at fault for Brexit.
No,
I think Nigel Farage and his big fucking bus with the big,
and also
I think that was the
newspaper.
That was the stunt.
Yeah.
If you think about Brexit as a business, and you think what Farage did, he did an incredible marketing stunt.
He's incredible at marketing.
He's unbelievable.
I don't think it's just that. I do think the old-fashioned media, newspapers, were a lot to do with that.
The thing that annoys me about Nigel Farage is whenever he comes on air, he has that ability once he starts talking that I can hear a piece of my brain starting to say, this guy's making a lot of sense, and you're going, no. But there is a piece of you that starts thinking, because he's so persuasive. He's persuasive.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Is it a man thing? Because I just don't get that. I just listen to him and think, what a racist dick.
Yes, you think that, but then it's just he
makes more sense than the other person in the room. He often makes more sense.
He could literally sell water to the Eskimos or whatever.
Okay, founders' egos, business or bullshit. Have you come across a few?
Many.
Care to name them?
You deal. I mean, Christ. I always joke music's full of people. Half of them have got ADHD and half of them have got narcissism. And it's like I love half of them, the other fucking half, and obviously a bunch have both. But no, you feel it in the music industry because you meet people who are like, God, this person's a piece of shit, and it's like, oh, it's just they are driven by fame. They're not driven by music's the only thing that I can do that keeps me, distracted. Oh, it's me. Mm-hmm. All right, I'll do a couple more mentors.
Business, very important.
You have mentors?
Yeah. Yes, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't have like a regular check-in one. Does that make sense? I haven't prescribed one person to be like, oh, hey, can I talk to you every 3 weeks? I don't have that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you've got your friend who's a life coach or whatever he is.
Who was that?
I don't know. There was somebody that was. Anyway.
And Angus, I guess, in his way, he's
Correct.
an older guy coming with a different.
Yeah.
Angus has got an amazing ability to see things in a way,
Breakfast meetings.
Business, absolutely. I love breakfast meeting.
Oh, do you? Yeah, it's giving up the alcohol, I guess.
You're an early bird rather than
100%.
a lock rather than.
What time do you get up?
Well, right now, talking to.
Oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense. In theory,
I would normally be waking up at like 6:30 on Zwift by 7.
Okay, first thing in the morning.
100%. Yeah.
And how long do you bike for? Like,
could be anything from 45 minutes to 2.5 hours.
Oh, really?
Depends on what I'm doing.
And you'll work while you're doing it?
We're both staring at you like you're absolutely insane at this point.
He needs to get his hit somehow. It's the dopamine.
No alcohol.
For sure.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother does the same. He runs for hours and hours. The irritating thing is when you ring him, he's running, and he's running up a mountain in Durango. So I've told him the other day, is it irritating? I was like, yes, it's irritating, because it's like, oh, I'm working. I'm also incredibly healthy, and I'm so fit. I can run up a mountain. You barely notice, Anyway, me 5-year forecast on any of them?
Yeah, I'd say business. I think you've got to put a stake in the ground to go, okay, we're trying to go here. I'd say 5 years is quite
Long,
punchy.
yeah.
I'd say like 3 is more what I would focus on. I think 5 for the business that we're at.
Most of your people, you'd say, what are you planning to do next week? And they're like,
Felt nice.
Yeah.
Bluffing.
Bluffing.
That's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I struggle with that because I don't really know exactly what you mean.
Well, it's basically there's a line. You're in the meeting with the client. They're a big client.
Bullshitting, I think.
Right.
Oh, it's professional bullshitting. They ask you a question, and if you act like you don't know, if you go, I mean, there's times
for me that's bullshit. I just say I don't know.
Okay.
Straight up. If someone's like, well, what do you think about what we should be doing on Snapchat with the new media buy? I'd be like, what's the new media buy? I don't know what it is. I don't have any issue saying that I don't know something.
But I think you can do that when you're in the position you're in. I think it's quite hard in a lot of industries, like particularly when you're more junior and there are a lot of swinging dicks. Like in corporate law, for example, where you don't meet many other women and there are loads of men in the room and they're all speaking massive business speak.
Massive business dick.
Yeah, I've no idea what you're talking about. It's like the kiss of death. So you have to kind of play along.
Your industry is different to mine and your experience is different to mine. But for me, where I am, I quite like telling people that I don't know something.
All right, and we're ending on NDAs.
Bullshit. No one reads. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, go on. When someone goes, I can't chat to you until I've got this NDA, it's crypto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crypto NFT. Yeah, man, I've got this new thing, bro. It's going to be fucking massive.
What I really love is when clients ring me up and go, could you review this NDA for me? I was like, and you're like, sorry, can you not read? Like, it's 2 pages long.
It's normally
and
for me.
It's not complicated.
Normally it's someone sending me an NDA for me to check how good their new logo is.
Brilliant. You've been absolutely brilliant, Adam. Thank you very much. Is there anyone you want to shout out?
You haven't given him a score.
Oh, the score.
Oh my God.
I think he did very well. I think 9,003.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good solid score.
That's a really solid score.
Cool. I don't know what the score's out of, but I'm
Nobody
assuming
does.
it's out of 100. So.
100 million.
Yeah.
Very good. Is there anything you want to tell anyone about? I mean, the ghost, so maybe you don't. No?
Yeah, I've got nothing to sell.
Nothing to sell. Okay. Don't go to Adam if you want anything social media related. Brilliant.
So there you have it. That was this week's episode of Business Without Bullshit. And we'll be back with our quiz, Business or Bullshit, on Thursday. Until then,
It's ciao.